That was a wonderful conversation, and we're so pleased that you all could be here for that. We have a great conversation coming up next. We are going to be focusing on life on land, sustainable solutions for small farmers and food systems. And this conversation is going to focus on the role and importance of scaling innovation and science-backed solutions towards supporting landless workers and small-scale farmers. Please welcome to the stage Concordia's co-founder, president, and CEO, Matthew Swift.
Thank you very, very much, Laura. It's great to see you. I hope everybody is doing well. Day 3. It's quite the marathon, so it's great to be with all of you today. I am especially excited to introduce His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Aziz Bin Talal Bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, who is an incredible friend to Concordia and has been an incredible friend since really the founding of Concordia. We first met in Washington, D.C., and when you spend time with him, you quickly see he is a man of incredible moral character, a wonderful sense of humor, and a real sense of loyalty and commitment to the projects and things that he believes in. He is a member of our leadership council and has been a really key architect as we continue to expand and diversify internationally around issues such as sustainable farming. He is currently the chair of the Arab Gulf Program for Development, also known as Ag Fund. And Ag Fund believes in the sustainability of human development and poverty alleviation and struggles poverty alleviation, enabling vulnerable groups, women and children, people with special needs, displaced people and refugees to exercise their civil rights in their communities and lead a dignified social and economic existence with improved living conditions. Thanks to His Royal Highness's vision, Ag Fund has remained a stalwart, coping with the progress of development while launching initiatives that address the main issues of development imbalances. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause to greet His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Aziz Bin Talal Bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud.
Good morning, everyone. I thank my friend Matthew Swift for the introduction, and I hoped he didn't talk about how much I like sprinkles on my ice cream. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, distinguished leaders, esteemed guests, Your Highness, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We gather today at a pivotal moment in our collective journey toward a sustainable and secure future. The challenges we face, food insecurity, climate change, and sustainable agricultural development, are not distant threats. They are urgent realities that require immediate and unified action. The summit, held alongside the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, offers a vital platform for driving change. At Ag Fund, we have long worked to provide solutions that not only address today's needs, but also secure a future where hunger and poverty are eradicated. Today's theme, Life on Land, Sustainable Solutions for Small Farmers and Food Systems, is at the core of that vision. By 2050, global food demand is projected to rise by 60%, driven by population growth and increasing pressure on our resources. Yet, the world's food system remains fragile, vulnerable to the accelerating impacts of climate change, economic instability, and conflict. Smallholder farmers, who feed 2.5 billion people globally, are at the heart of this challenge. They produce much of the food consumed in developing nations, but they are also the most vulnerable. Without the necessary tools and support, their ability to feed themselves and their communities is increasingly at risk. AgFund has consistently focused on empowering these smallholder farmers by addressing the obstacles they face. Our work includes innovative weather index-based insurance to protect against unpredictable climate patterns and financial education programs that provide farmers with the skills to navigate economic uncertainty. They are not isolated projects, but part of a broader integrated approach to creating sustainable solutions. Collaboration is key to this approach. We have built strategic partnerships with organizations such as the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, BADIA, and the UNCCD to scale successful models across regions, particularly in Africa. Our goal is to replicate these programs where they are most needed, providing smallholder farmers with access to the markets, resources, and knowledge they require to succeed. The challenges are complex: limited access to financing, inadequate resources, and fluctuating markets all contribute to the difficulties these farmers face. Solutions must be comprehensive, combining access to credit, agricultural insurance, and digital technology to create a resilient agricultural system that can withstand external shocks. Moreover, we cannot ignore the role of women in agriculture. Women are integral to small-scale farming, yet they are often denied access to land, resources, and training. Empowering women is not only essential for equality, but it is also a strategic move to boost productivity and food security. AgFund is committed to addressing this gap by ensuring women have resources they need to contribute fully to agricultural development. Our Farmers Hub initiative exemplifies AgFund's holistic approach. It provides a range of financial and non-financial services designed to meet the unique needs of smallholder farmers by linking farmers to markets and integrating innovative financial products. We aim to foster a sustainable agricultural system that empowers farmers and supports community development. As we approach COP16 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, we at AgFund are focused on fostering partnerships that bring real, lasting change. Innovation and collaboration are the cornerstones of our strategy. Our partnerships with the Saudi Ministry of Environment, Water, and Agriculture, as well as international organizations like the University of Chicago and the Fiera Capital, are designed to scale these successful models across diverse regions and contexts. Today's panel is an essential step in this journey. It brings together leaders from various sectors to address the interconnected challenges of food insecurity, land degradation, and climate change. The discussions we have today will provide valuable insights that will inform the global agenda at COP16 and beyond. In conclusion, I extend my deepest appreciation to all who have contributed to this platform for collaboration and action. The work we do here holds the potential to transform the future of food security and improve the lives of millions of smallholder farmers and their communities. Together, we have the power to create a more sustainable, equitable, and prosperous world. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Dr. Nasser Alkahtani of the Arab Gulf Program for Development and the esteemed panel.
Good morning. Your Royal Highnesses, Excellency, distinguished leader, participant, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to our session, Life and Land, Sustainable Solution for Small Farmer and Food Security. It's a pleasure to have you here all. And I'm excited to guide this important discussion with the distinguished guests. We are gathering today during the Future Summit. That means we should address the challenge. In fact, the challenge we are facing, climate change, land degradation, food security, unemployment, has been the challenge facing the poor country and the developing country for the last 4 decades. The only thing became new, that it's became global challenge. The reason we are not achieving the SDGs, we just 6 years to reach 2030. We just achieving 16%. The reason behind that is localization, and very important, and coordination. And the third thing is missing. We are not taking care of the land the way it should be. We are not maintain it, sustain it the way we should be, because we don't own the land. We just borrow it from our children. We have to keep it safe. This is the way we want to invest more to restore the land. We need to turn land degradation to land restoration. And this is one of the things we challenge. Today's session is building on a recommendation of the initial session that was held in Riyadh in June. The session was Challenge and Opportunity, Small Farmer and Food Security. Today's session will be focusing on an innovative, practical solution to support small farmer through the sustainable practice, enhancing the productivity while protecting and generating land restoration. Our session today will be focusing on understanding the current challenge and opportunity in food security. And we will be exporting the practice, the policy can be support small farmer. And before we start the question to our distinguished panelists, we'd like to thank His Royal Highness for his insightful remarks. Please join me to welcome our panel discussion and welcoming to the stage the distinguished panelists. We cannot even start asking without starting with Dr. Ibrahim Touab, the UN Under Secretary General, the Executive Director of UNCCD. He's been working for day and night to prepare for the COP16 in Riyadh. Your Excellency, UNCCD plays a crucial role in bridging the gap between environmental and sustainable development. As we approach COP16, your vision will be shaping effective strategy. What are your expectations of the outcome of the small farmer and food security in COP16? How can investing in the land help create more jobs? The floor is yours, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. When you hear COP, you think of a UN meeting, another UN meeting. But COP16 in Riyadh will be very different from previous COPs we have had so far. We are talking about land as an asset, and sometimes the only asset there is for millions of people from around the world. There are 500 million small farmers that depend on land, and they don't have bank accounts. Their countries depend on the primary sector, and land is the main asset. Not only they feed themselves, but they feed another 1.5 million, the 2 billion people that you heard being fed by the small farmers. Now, investing on land is extremely important, not only in terms of innovation, technologies, high tech, but think of really low tech that is also needed for that is being used by those people. Land is the only asset that a small farmer has. If you take away the productivity or you reduce the productivity, they have no other choice but to flee, hence forced migration. When they compete for fertile land and scarce water resources, you have conflicts. So investing on land restoration is a guarantee for security in the world. When you invest on land restoration, you create jobs, millions of jobs, green jobs, by the way, which are absolutely compatible with the climate solutions that we are all looking forward. So in other words, and to sum up, COP16 in Riyadh will be a fantastic opportunity, not only for the private sector, not only for civil society organizations and obviously governments that are parties to this convention, but for small farmers and for investors to come together and think about this one thing we have in common: our land, our earth, and the soil that is nourishing us. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Since the small farmer is the champion, they will be, helping us to, eat food, as well as they help to restoration of the land. Going to having innovation and science, and here where I go to the Paul Winter from University of Chicago, how can science and technology will help us in innovation to help the small farmer to at least, making enough return, as well as, restoring the, the land for the next, generation.
Thanks. So there's a lot of innovations out there that have the potential to address these types of concerns. But we need to continue to innovate to figure out the best way to do that. I'm working with Michael Kremer, who won the Nobel Prize in 2019 in economics for randomized controlled trials and doing randomized controlled trials. And if you look at sectors like the medical sector, all the medicines we take go through randomized controlled trials to see if they work. If you look at the tech sector, when they are doing things on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, they run these A/B tests to see how can they get a better response. And so they take this experimental approach to try to learn things. We have the issues that we face that were just described by Dr. Tao. We need to take that same kind of approach in trying to solve these problems. We have a starting point because there are innovations out there, but as we do that, we experiment what works best. If we use digital agriculture, what's the best way to give messages to farmers? How are they more likely to respond and take up? Michael did this work in Ethiopia where they found simple things to increase take-up rates by 11%, increase them calling in by 24%. Just little tweaks in the way that you send messages can be very valuable. So what we need to do is use the things that we know, but to continue to experiment, create this cycle of innovation that occurs in the agricultural space. We do that for testing new seeds, new fertilizers, et cetera. What we don't do it as much is in implementation. And so we're trying to do this in implementation, and we're working with the Arab Gulf Fund with COP16 in the hope that we can scale up some of the innovations that are there, but to continuously try to do better and better so that we can solve these problems as we go forward. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. That means there is an innovation, but we need the innovation to be cost effective,
Yes.
to scale it up, and this is where we could talk to the private sector. You know that achieving SDGs, it's impossible to achieve it without participation with private sector. Private sector is a key. That's why I ask Mr. Antoine Bios the question, integrating land aggregation consideration into your strategy when you invest. Can you share with us a specific, how can Fair Capital has successfully integrate ESGs into investment? In your opinion, how can we encourage private sector to invest more in agriculture, in particularly with the small farmer? Floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Just as background, we have a significant investment business in natural capital, so agriculture and timberland. We've acquired about 5 million acres of land over the years. And as you can imagine, for an investor investing in land, sustainability and return goes together, right? It's very intuitive. If our investors are long-term pension funds, endowments, foundations, they want their land to be more fertile, to be more productive. They want to have more, they want to save water. If their land is more fertile 15, 20 years down the road, they will make better returns. That is the asset that they own. So, of course, what we do is as soon as we acquire investments, we invest significantly in technology, whether it's a new rootstock for an almond farm that is more efficient on water, whether it is soil mapping, satellite technology that tells you exactly how much fertilizer to put on, not to put too much, how to save water. So there's significant investment in technology, and it's very much aligned with the investment returns of our investors. Now, to your second question, how do you, and by the way, we invest mainly in large-scale farms, but a lot of these technologies can be available to the smaller farmers with the help of cooperatives, government initiatives, data sharing, et cetera. In terms of how do you encourage private capital to come in forestry or in agriculture, so I have a real live case study. So we are actually looking with the Ag Fund to launch an afforestation fund, which is essentially planting trees on land that is currently bare, and in the Middle East and Africa. So there are regions in the world where you can plant trees and commercially you will make a return. You can get paid for carbon, you can get paid for harvesting trees and replanting the trees. But there's other areas in the world where, because of costs, because of infrastructure, the return will not be necessarily enough to justify the investment returns that private capital want to come in. So this is where private-public partnerships with governments are so important. So you can have the expertise of private capital come in and be very efficient in planting those trees, and in a partnership with governments to essentially plant trees that will be good for society and that will have a clean air, and will also, very importantly, planting trees prevents land degradation.
Excellent. That means private sector need a clear strategy to have an impact, positive impact in land, and have a reasonable return. Yep. That's one of the things they need, and public-private partnership is the key. So that's why I go to Dr. Fatima Elsheikh, the Secretary General of BADIA. We really appreciate working too closely with BADIA. BADIA was established as the Multilateral Development Institute. I appreciate if you could share with us a quick reflect of the 50 years of journey of BADIA in Africa. And how can BADIA, with your experience, help government as well as private sector to work together in investing in agriculture and food security?
Thank you so much, I think we're really appreciative of our close partnership with Ag Fund, but also with the different institutions. BADIA was established 50 years ago on a vision of shared prosperity from the Arab leaders who believe that there is complementarity. And I think our investment in agricultural sector in Africa was stemming from, and is still stemming from, the belief that Africa has the capacity to feed itself and has the capacity to feed the rest of the world. So with that, we focused on enhancing productivity, we focused on enhancing partnership, but we also adopted a human-centered approach. And in that way, we made sure that the farmers are actually the one designing our projects. The governments are there as a catalytic agent for the execution, but I think it's important that we look at the opportunities that the farmers' knowledge and endogenous knowledge give. They are the one who knew how to conserve the soil. They are the one who knew how they can protect the mechanism of irrigation. And I think one of the key areas that, if I can use it for summarizing how we've been working in BADIA, is plant It's partnerships such as the one we have with AgFund in terms of the leveraging the opportunities of shared work in microinsurance, as stated by His Royal Highness, and also the opportunities that we have in terms of leveraging science and technology, the L. And then the A is actually assets that we develop in terms of the farmers and the reforestation. They have a financial component to it. N, nature, as it is stated by Dr. Tao, it's important that we look at the opportunities that nature gives us. And the last one is that the togetherness. You cannot achieve, we learned from our experience in Africa, in Badia, that we cannot achieve food security in the continent or help other countries without looking at the opportunities of togetherness, working together with science institutes, universities, and academia there.
That gives us a hope that we could not to leave anybody behind. Small farmer now in the top of the agenda in COP16. So what the distinguished panels recommended, and this is how we will be building in our workshop in Riyadh, that road to Riyadh is a road for everybody. Please join us in Riyadh. Let's have something good for small farmers. Land is important for all of us, not just for us, for our generation to come. Our kids get to, live in a safe land. Important of science and technology. Science and technology is available, and it's became not expensive with the Nobel Prize winner Michael with his experimental approach. That's how we make, scale is bigger and make things accessible, affordable, and sustainable. Of course, the private sector is the key. Without the private sector, we will not achieve in SDGs, and we cannot even go beyond the 2030 without giving more opportunity to the private sector. Multilateral and donor is very important to support all of them. Let me thank you again, and thank everybody who attended this session. And let me thank again the distinguished speaker, participant, and without forgetting the organizing team which make this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you.